Welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we are talking about if hope feels far, small dose, quiet magic. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to Dose of Feel Good. We are at episode 47 this week, and our topic is if hope feels far, small dose, quiet magic. And I'm super looking forward to our conversation here today, but I want to give a quick sneak peek. I did do our first podcast interview this week, so I will be releasing that shortly. We will be featuring some guests that are spreading feel-good messages out into their universe, and I just love having the opportunity to highlight folks that are doing the exact things that we are talking about on this podcast and really demonstrating the power of sharing feel-good moments in our universe and in our world and the impact that they can have. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with y'all and hearing your thoughts on that. But I want to turn our attention to our topic, if hope feels far, small dose, quiet magic. And I think this topic is so fitting for a variety of reasons. I think before I jump too far into this, I was watching a video just this morning of this young lady who lost her sister to suicide about a year ago. And she had created this PowerPoint of all of the reasons that she wishes her sister were here or chose to stay another day, and hoping that that would impact somebody listening to the video. And I went into the comments, and all of these people said, thank you for sharing. And they were little things. They were these quiet, magical moments that gave people hope. And I think it was such a beautiful illustration as we talk about this topic here today of when you feel like hope is far. And I think a lot of us have been in that moment, and it might not be to the full point of a crisis necessarily, but it can be where the day-to-day just feels exhausting. And we know that we're maybe not doing super great when every day feels that way. And we question, what is the point of all of this? And we just get stuck in our own heads. And I think we spiral a little bit. And when we're in those moments, hope feels really far. And we often lack the appreciation of the current moments, or even seeing this appreciation of what the future has to offer. And I think it's really hard to remind ourselves of the things in those moments that we have yet to see. There are so many people that we have yet to meet. I'm an extrovert, so I tend to think of people, but it can be experiences too. We all have that bucket list of places we want to go to and experience, but when hope feels so far, we can't even look into that horizon of all of those things that we look forward to. And so I think hope can go into two categories. I think in one regard, it can feel like a distant memory. And I mean, you know, as children, we have this childlike wonder. And so everything is super exciting and enthusiastic. And so it feels like there's hope in every day because we're constantly experiencing new things. Because as children, we just haven't experienced or had the opportunity to experience too much. And so hope can feel like, oh, I only experienced that as a child. And it can feel really far away as a distant memory, or it can feel like this forward-thinking, impossible task for literally anyone else to achieve, but because there's so much going on, it feels so far away and impossible to get to. And so we often then get stuck in this moment of it feeling too far, and so there's just no relief in those moments. And when we are at our lowest, for whatever reason that might be. I often tell folks that it's whatever is personal to you. It doesn't mean that you've had to have the greatest devastation of life. No, whatever that low feels like to you, it can just be being in our own heads. And I think some folks are like, oh, I haven't really had it that bad, so I shouldn't feel this way. And that's just not the reality. As humans, we get down on ourselves, or even just our mental health. We feel sick, right? When we're thinking of physical and mental health, our mental health can feel sick. And so that's when we're at our lowest. And that's when hope feels furthest away, but that's also when we need it most and it's hardest to come by. So I think rather than trying to find the end point of this bliss, if you will, I think it's easier to find these micro doses of magic. And that's what we're talking about, quiet magic, and really leaning into what that means to you. And I love what this lady said in that video that I referenced. She said, you might miss the opportunity to see the most beautiful sunrise that you've ever experienced. We just don't know. I loved, this is a big one for me. She said, don't let the haters outlive you, right? Like, do it out of spite for the person who maybe made your life miserable. Show them that they just don't get to win, right? Like, I'm going to keep choosing this out of spite. You might not have tasted the best food in the world yet, and that might still be on the horizon. And again, you might not meet the people who are going to be your best friends in the world, or who are going to be those people who impact you and change your entire life and outlook on life. And all of those things could be out there. Those are those little micro doses of magic that we're talking about, that when hope feels the furthest, how can I bring it forward to find just those little things where I can lean in and say, that is my quiet magic moments that I can look forward to and find in the day-to-day. And we have the opportunity every single day to grant ourselves hope and magic, even when it feels the hardest away or the furthest away. And when we do that, we give ourselves this breath of relief, right? I remember when I was in my crisis point, and when that perspective started to go broader, when I started to see that hope, I felt that, like, that deep breath, right? That, like, maybe I will be okay. And that's the win we're looking for. And it comes from those quiet magic moments of what gives us hope. But we have to be mindful, and we have to be intentional in finding those. And so we have to choose to make that a priority, a daily priority in our lives, to find that hope, especially when it's farthest and hardest to find. I want to show this in a couple of different ways. So first, I am currently doing 75 Hard, the challenge. So if you haven't heard of 75 Hard, it's 75 days straight. You do 2 workouts. One of those has to be outside. You stick to a diet plan, nutrition plan, however you want to call it. Drink 72 ounces of water. You take a daily progress picture and read 10 pages of a nonfiction book. And if you miss a day, you're supposed to start over from 1. I'm being a little bit more graceful of myself there. But I am normally somebody, for an accountability purposes, I really like to share, like, oh, this is where I'm at with this and things like that. But what I've found really leaning into this, like, quiet magic and the healing power of this journey, honestly, is that being able to celebrate that as for myself, right? Being able to do it for myself, and the intention. There are a lot of things I can choose to do each day. And especially at the end of the day, when I'm tired and exhausted and just want to relax, I find myself nope, I am making the decision. I'm going to go for my outdoor walk. I'm going to get that in. And the other night, it was a little chilly. I like being in the sun. There was no sun. It was chilly. The sun was setting, and there was just the most gorgeous sunset. And I found myself thinking, wow, I would have been really sad if I would have missed this opportunity, and I wouldn't have known I missed that opportunity. And so it's just those mindset shifts of finding those quiet magic moments, but giving ourselves the space to do that. And I was talking with someone recently of like, for me, recently it's literally just like feeling the breath in my lungs as a gift. And I think when we're grieving or when hope feels really far away, that moment where we give ourselves that thanks and the magic of having air fill our lungs, not everyone has that opportunity, and being thankful for having that. And those are really magical moments that gives us hope to keep going, because like I said, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And so being grateful and having gratitude for those moments and those opportunities and everything that we get to look forward to, that we are going to experience. And we don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to have all the answers, because we're not going to. And even that reminder that it doesn't always have to be good, reminding ourselves that it won't always be good, right? But there will always be so much magic in the world around us if we choose to find it. Again, we have to be intentional about looking for it, finding it, identifying what that means to us, and actively going after it. I think some of you are probably like, well, that's easy for you to say, right? Like, you're not struggling right now. But I think being able to remind ourselves that sometimes the magic for those that are struggling most, because when we are in that pit, it can be really, really dark, and that perspective can be really hard to find. And I think sometimes when people are struggling the most, we have really good intentions and we say, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But I know for myself, when I'm struggling, I find myself questioning, I mean, thank you, but I don't even know what I need right now, right? So I think when we're trying to help others find that magic and that light, however you want to word that, I think we just give it to them. It can be, I was talking to a friend, delivering coffee, delivering food. If gift giving is what lights your soul, maybe that's the way you do it. I'm definitely a words of affirmation person. That is what I need when I'm really struggling. So I just give that out to people, hoping that that helps them see that magic, right? So I just do it. I don't ask if they need it. I just give it out, right? So I think when we know people are struggling, just do something for them so that they can start to recognize that magic. Ultimately, they have to connect the dots. But I firmly believe that when we choose to do that, that magic is going to return to us. And for those that are struggling, they'll start to see that magic. They'll do it themselves, and it'll return to them as well. And so I think when we have that magic given out to the world, have it returned to us, we draw closer to hope. And ultimately, that's what we want to do. And we can do that one small dose at a time. And we can do it quietly. It doesn't have to be this big, huge thing that we're trying to do. We can do it one small, quiet, magical moment at a time. So what does this look like in action? I have a couple of pieces here. So first, I think it starts with being mindful. I've talked a lot about being intentional. We have to choose to find the magic. But I think it starts with knowing what is hopeful to you. What does that mean? How do you know that you're choosing hope, and what does that look like? So define what is hopeful to you and put a list together of what does hope look like in practice, or what does magic look like in practice that can steer you towards finding hope. Write that down and being mindful that I'm going to choose to go in that direction. Even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, I'm going to push myself a little bit. I think the second piece is more of a safety net. I'm sure people have heard of safety plans in terms of those that maybe have had a suicide attempt or who have had suicidal thoughts. But I think it's really helpful for anyone. We've all struggled with mental health. We've all been sick in terms of mental health, right? So I think when we are unwell, it's hard to find that hope. It's easier when we're maybe in a more healthy zone. So I highly encourage you. There is an app called Safety Plan. You can put it right on your phone. Obviously, it's for people in crisis, but it just has you put in like what are those things that you can lean on, support systems. What are the things that you do to take care of yourself? Is that exercising? Is that going for a walk? What is that for you? For me, it's doing something kind for someone. But I think it's having that safety plan in place. That way you have something you can go back on. It even has a spot where you can put like inspirational quotes in, so that if you aren't speaking nice to yourself, you have something in place that you've already written of a previous time you've spoken nice to yourself. And so I think that's really helpful. And the last piece, this is where the intentionality comes in, because we're all busy. So give yourself the space for those quiet, magical moments, especially when it's the hardest. Reframe those hard moments as positive, or what is the magic I can find in here? Because again, there is magic all around us if we choose to find it. And choose to go in that direction. Even if it feels like I'm faking it a little bit, eventually that hope will come back around. And ultimately, that's what we're looking for. We're hoping that hope comes a little closer to us through one small dose of magic at a time. And with that, we're going to wrap up. So again, if you need that reminder to pursue that quiet magic, especially when the hope is furthest away, check out our stickers over on our Etsy shop. They are very reasonable. So you can either choose just the sticker for today, or if you're really loving the series, get yourself a whole pack and have those reminders just right at your fingertips. Otherwise, keep a lookout on YouTube and or wherever you listen to our podcasts, because we will be putting out some special edition episodes with our guests here shortly. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, have a great week and stay tuned for next week. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.